The Diplomat, 9th of March 2023, Indian culture, whether it is considered a danger in China or not. On Chinese social media, people frequently comment on different global issues on my popular account. I can now see through this aperture the views of the Chinese people on international matters. Many common Chinese were upset by rumors that China would give Russia weaponry. I still think China can't provide weapons to Russia for the same reasons I highlighted in an article last year arguing that China would not support Russia's invasion of Ukraine. These rumors came from the United States and Europe. According to several internet users, there have been more weapons transactions between India and Russia than between China and Russia, who also noted that India and Russia have a higher-level relationship known as a special and privileged strategic partnership. Therefore, they argued, why doesn't America fear that India will supply Russia with weapons during the Ukrainian war? These Chinese view this as additional evidence that the United States has double standards when it comes to China and India in the Ukrainian war, despite the fact that both nations have declined to criticize Russia for the conflict. It is purportedly done to ally India with the US while isolating China. This is just one illustration of a prevalent belief in China that China has become the target of the West while India is the preferred country. How did India pull this off? Why is India's network of acquaintances abroad so extensive? In reality, Chinese internet users responded to the query in the same conversation. They claim that one factor contributing to India's popularity is that it isn't powerful enough to threaten Western hegemony. These internet users believe that if India ever overtakes China as the world's second-largest economy and its military power keep growing, the United States will do everything it can to repress India. That is one aspect of the Chinese perspective on India. India is considered underdeveloped, so many nations do not see it as a danger or a challenge. New Delhi can maintain cordial ties with Washington and its allies because the West does not consider India seriously. According to this perspective, China is powerful enough to make the West nervous, so it is regular that Western governments would want to stop China from surpassing them. Chinese media frequently features instances of underdevelopment in India. Many Chinese people know the shocking rape figures in India and that some Indians treated COVID-19 with cow urine. Such articles strengthen Chinese people's perceptions of India's backwardness. They fueled the already held belief that India is not superior to China in every way despite having a more significant population. In other words, most Chinese people feel confident and superior to Indians. Although most Chinese people believe China and India can still collaborate, they do not like seeing India become overly close to the United States. The implication is that India cannot overtake China, making China's task manageable. Many Chinese people think that China and India can cooperate using the same justification that India can be friendly with the United States because it isn't powerful enough to pose a threat. Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, attended the G20 ministerial conference last week in India and spoke highly of the ties between China, his country, and India and Russia. In response to a post I made about this on Chinese social media, a netizen wrote, "The deepening of collaboration between China, India, and Russia can withstand the pressure of the West. India, after all, has some misgivings about the West. Additionally, I believe that China and India can improve their partnership." In reality, I questioned whether China should be more allied with Pakistan or India in a piece I wrote for The Diplomat in 2014. At that moment, I said India. There is more room for cooperation between China and India, as evidenced by the events over the last 9 years. For instance, compared to China's commerce with Pakistan, which is estimated to be worth $30 billion annually, trade with India is worth $115 billion annually. Of course, China is still thinking about Pakistan. However, many Chinese internet users have a realistic perspective on the two South Asian peers. The reasoning is very sober. As the gap between Pakistan and India widens, it becomes more unrealistic to use Pakistan to restrain India, except as a supplier of Pakistani terrorists. In general, I get the feeling that most Chinese people are unaware of Indian culture, but they are inquisitive. For instance, ordinary Chinese people are interested in India's healthcare and social systems. Both topics are frequently discussed on Chinese social media. In addition, Chinese online users refer to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi as Modi Laoxian. Laoxian is a term used to describe an old immortal with peculiar powers. The moniker suggests that Chinese internet users believe Modi to be unique and even more remarkable than other leaders. They draw attention to his garb and appearance, which are viewed as Laoxian-like, and some of his policies, which vary from earlier ones in India. As mentioned, Modi's India can keep the world's big powers in check. Some Chinese internet users find it very admirable that India can have friendly relations with all of them, whether they are nations in the global south, the United States, or Russia. As a result, the term Laocoon captures the nuanced reaction of Chinese people to Modi, which combines curiosity, awe, and perhaps a hint of cynicism. Since covering international news for almost 20 years, I have noticed that Chinese internet users rarely refer to foreign leaders by their nicknames. Modi's moniker sticks out more than any other. He has undoubtedly had an impact on Chinese popular opinion. One of my conclusions is that, generally speaking, the Chinese do not harbor hatred toward India, with one glaring exception, the border dispute that China initiated to occupy more territory in India. Most Chinese internet users get extremely irate whenever a border conflict arises. It is believed that India joined the Quad for the same reason it besieged and confined China with the assistance of the West. In the future, I expect to see China and India establish friendly cooperation in other areas to maintain border stability and peace rather than causing harm to bilateral interests due to border disputes. A more open and contemporary portrayal of India in Chinese and Indian media will also improve Chinese people's perceptions of India. That will undoubtedly have an impact on ties between China and India.